The latest polls are revealing very shocking news for the Democrats, and Donald Trump is en route for a historic landslide. And today I will be showing you exactly how and why this will occur. Let's quickly get the safe states out of the way. Trump will easily claim Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North and South Dakota, all of Nebraska except the 2nd District, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Alaska. Starting with Harris's safe states, she's expected to land Washington, California, Hawaii, Illinois, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maryland, the District of Columbia, Delaware, Maine's 1st District, and New York. Trump currently trails behind Harris, but this will not last for long. Now for Trump's likely states, he will easily claim Texas, which comes in as a massive win for Trump, with the latest ActiVote poll showing him ahead by a commanding 12-point margin. This places Texas solidly in Trump's likely category, reinforcing his dominance in a state that remains critical to the GOP's electoral map. With 56% of the vote, Trump has a firm grip on Texas, and Harris's inability to make inroads here underscores the GOP's strength. Texas's 40 electoral votes are firmly in Trump's column, ensuring a decisive victory that further boosts his path to re-election in 2024. This is a huge win for Trump, and a clear sign that Texas is staying deep red. Moving over to Ohio, it remains a reliable state for Trump. The latest Morning Consult poll of 1,243 likely voters gives him a solid 7-point lead over Harris. While this margin is slightly narrower than his victories in 2016 and 2020, where he won by over 8 points, it still underscores Trump's firm grip on the state. Ohio's conservative, working-class voter base remains strongly aligned with Trump, and Harris's failure to make significant inroads here only reinforces his dominance. With J.D. Vance's stellar performance in the vice presidential debate further boosting Trump's standing, Ohio is firmly in his column, and is once again proving to be a key piece of his 2024 electoral strategy. Moving to Iowa, Trump continues to command the state with a solid 7-point lead over Harris, as shown by the latest Signal poll of 600 likely voters. It's clear that Iowa remains a stronghold for Trump, consistent with his past dominance where he won by 9.4 points in 2016 and 8.2 points in 2020. What was once a competitive battleground has now shifted firmly into Trump's territory, thanks to the overwhelming support from Iowa's rural, conservative voters who have embraced Trump's populist message. Iowa's move toward becoming a reliably Republican state is yet another testament to Trump's enduring appeal and strength heading into 2024. Harris has no real path to winning over voters in this state, which remains locked in for Trump. Maine's 2nd District also joins Trump's side, where he leads by a comfortable 7 points. Moving on to Harris's likely states, Rhode Island remains in the likely category for Harris, but her support has clearly weakened. The latest poll conducted by Embold Research, surveying 876 likely voters, shows Harris with only a 14-point lead over Trump. While this may seem comfortable on the surface, it's a significant drop from the 20.8-point margin Biden won by in 2020. This sharp decline in Democratic dominance exposes how poorly Harris is performing, even in a long-standing Democratic stronghold like Rhode Island. The fact that she's struggling to hold such a safe state just shows how vulnerable the Democrats have become in this election cycle. Trump's momentum is undeniable, and even deeply blue states like Rhode Island are seeing cracks in Harris's once presumed invincibility. Similarly to Rhode Island, Harris's terrible performance continues in Colorado. Even though it may remain in Harris's likely column for now, the latest polling shows her with only a 10-point lead, a noticeable decline from the 13.5-point margin Biden secured in 2020. This drop reflects a weakening in Democratic support, despite the narrative that Colorado has become a stronghold for the party in recent years. The progressive urban centers and diverse electorate that once favored the Democrats are clearly not giving Harris the same level of support, leaving the door open for Trump to make gains in a state that Democrats are increasingly taking for granted. Virginia, a state where Harris maintains nearly the exact same lead as Joe Biden did in 2020, where he won it by 10.8 points. A new poll by Christopher Newport University's Wasson Center, conducted among 800 likely voters, shows Harris leading Trump by 11 points. While this suggests that the state leans blue, it's important to note that Harris has barely made any progress here. This becomes even more alarming for the Democrats when one considers the fact that the polls often underestimate Trump, meaning this state is probably a lot more competitive than we think. New Hampshire has fallen in favor of Harris, with the latest poll from the University of Massachusetts showing her leading by 9 points. In 2016, Clinton narrowly defeated Trump by just 0.37 points, and in 2020, Biden widened that margin to 7.4 points, solidifying the state's Democratic foothold. While early 2024 polling showed a closer race when Biden was expected to run, Harris has managed to keep a significant gap in New Hampshire. However, it's worth noting that Trump is often underestimated in this state, and given his strong performances in other battlegrounds, it wouldn't be surprising to see this margin tighten as the election approaches. New Jersey was a deep blue state in 2020, with Biden winning it by 15.9 points. But this year, the landscape looks far more favorable for Trump. The latest ActiVote poll among 400 likely voters shows Harris only leading by 12 points, a clear sign that her support is waning. While New Jersey may still lean blue, the shrinking margin reflects the growing discontent with the Democratic Party, even in states considered safe. With Trump continuing to surge in key battlegrounds, Harris's slipping numbers in New Jersey are just another indicator of a national shift in Trump's favor. Minnesota may be in Harris's likely category, but it would be a mistake to count Trump out just yet. The latest Redfield and Wilton Strategies poll of 544 likely voters gives Harris an 8-point lead. But as we've seen time and time again, Trump is often underestimated in the polls. Despite Harris's apparent advantage, the race here is definitely more competitive than it appears on the surface. Trump's appeal to rural voters and his growing support in key areas could narrow the gap even further as we approach Election Day. Minnesota may seem safe for Harris now, but Trump's ability to defy expectations means this state shouldn't be written off so soon. Nebraska's 2nd District and Maine at large will also enter Harris's likely column. Usually, New Mexico will also join this category for Harris, but the latest polls are revealing something very shocking there. Moving into the leaning category, in these states, the respective candidate leads by a narrow but noticeable margin. Arizona comes in as a significant win for Trump. The latest YouGov/CBS News poll of 1,435 likely voters gives Trump a 3-point lead over Harris. Typically seen as a critical battleground state, Arizona is now leaning toward Trump, signaling a crucial shift in his favor. In 2016, Trump won Arizona by 3.5 points, but the state narrowly flipped to Biden in 2020 by just 0.31 points. Now, with Trump regaining the lead, Arizona's 11 electoral votes are firmly in play. Trump's message on immigration and border security is resonating strongly with voters, giving him the momentum he needs to solidify his campaign as Election Day approaches. Harris is struggling to keep up, and Trump is on track to reclaim Arizona in this key battle. Brace yourselves as we have more incredible news coming from Florida. Trump is dominating Harris with the latest RMG research poll of 788 likely voters giving him a solid 5-point lead. Florida, once a critical battleground, now seems firmly in Trump's grasp, further solidifying the GOP's dominance in the state. Trump's growing support among Latino voters and his stronghold in key areas like the I-4 corridor and North Florida have created a significant gap. With Florida's 30 electoral votes at stake, Harris is clearly struggling in what was once considered a competitive state. Trump's lead here is another sign that Florida has shifted decisively into the Republican column, setting Trump up for a strong victory as Election Day approaches. Oregon is a clear signal on how poorly Kamala Harris is doing. It was once a deep blue state for Biden, where he led by a 16.1-point margin in 2020. But now Trump is gaining lots of ground here. Early polls in 2024 kept the state in the likely category for Harris, with a comfortable double-digit lead. However, ever since Harris took the helm, the Democrats' stronghold has crumbled. The gap has more than halved, dropping Oregon into the lean category, with Harris only holding a slim 5-point lead, according to the Hoffman Research Group poll of 700 likely voters. This sharp decline is a clear sign that Trump is making major inroads in what was once a reliably Democratic state. Harris's faltering performance in Oregon reflects a broader national trend, where Trump's momentum is chipping away at the Democrats' dominance, even in deep blue states. With Election Day nearing, Harris's vulnerability in Oregon could be yet another blow to the DNC's crumbling defenses. Similarly to Oregon, Trump's gains in New Mexico are nothing short of remarkable, as the latest Redfield and Wilton Strategies poll shows Harris leading by only 4 points, down from Biden's massive 10.8-point margin in 2020. This narrowing gap is a huge victory for Trump, as New Mexico has long been a Democratic stronghold. The fact that Trump has closed the gap so dramatically speaks volumes about his growing appeal, particularly among Hispanic voters and those concerned with economic issues. With this momentum, New Mexico is no longer a safe state for the Democrats, and Trump is positioning himself to potentially flip this blue state in a shocking reversal. Now the race might seem like it's still level, But right here, in the battleground states, the latest shocking polls will stir up everything. North Carolina comes in as another massive win for Trump. The latest Morning Consult poll, conducted among 1,072 likely voters, shows him leading Harris by 1 point. This narrow lead reinforces Trump's edge in a state he won by 1.3 points in 2020. North Carolina remains highly competitive, but with Trump now holding a slight advantage, the state looks set to remain in Republican hands. With 15 electoral votes on the line, North Carolina is a critical battleground that both campaigns will continue to fight hard for as the election nears. Trump's lead here could be the key to securing another term. Georgia comes in as another significant win for Trump. The latest ActiVote poll of 400 likely voters shows Trump leading Harris by 1 point. This narrow lead is a crucial boost for Trump in a state that Biden narrowly won in 2020. Georgia's shift back towards Trump demonstrates his growing support among suburban and rural voters, as well as his momentum leading into Election Day. With 16 electoral votes at stake, Georgia is proving to be a crucial battleground, and Trump's lead here could play a decisive role in securing another term. Michigan remains incredibly tight, with the latest RMG research poll showing both Harris and Trump locked at 49% each. While it appears to be even, we know that the polls often underestimate Trump's support, so we're tilting Michigan as a battleground in Trump's favor. This is a clear sign that Trump is flipping this key state back into his column. In 2016, Trump famously shocked the political world by winning Michigan, and while Biden narrowly took it back in 2020, Trump's surge in support shows that the state's 15 electoral votes are very much in play. With this momentum, Trump is on track to reclaim Michigan as a crucial part of his path to victory in 2024. Nevada has now become an even tighter race, and a massive blow for the DNC. The latest Redfield and Wilton Strategies poll of 838 likely voters showing Harris and Trump tied at 47% each. While the numbers may appear even, we know that Trump is often underestimated in the polls. With his growing momentum and the race now on equal footing, Nevada looks poised to tilt towards Trump. Nevada has been a key state for Democrats in recent elections, but Trump's surge here is undeniable. With 6 electoral votes up for grabs, this could be a state that pushes Trump across the finish line come November. Wisconsin, once a critical part of the Democratic firewall, is now slipping into dangerous territory for Harris. The latest RMG research poll of 787 likely voters shows Trump leading by 1 point, marking a massive win for Trump in this key battleground state. With his momentum growing and the fact that the polls consistently underestimate his support, Wisconsin looks set to tilt red in November. Trump flipped Wisconsin in 2016, and while Biden narrowly took it back in 2020, it's clear that Trump is once again on track to reclaim the state. With its 10 electoral votes up for grabs, Trump's lead here is a huge blow to Harris and could play a pivotal role in securing another victory for the former president. Pennsylvania is now a toss-up, with the latest Redfield and Wilton Strategies poll showing both Trump and Harris tied at 48%. While the numbers may appear even, we know that polls often underestimate Trump's support. As we tilt Pennsylvania in Trump's favor, it's clear that his momentum is growing in this critical battleground state. Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016, and while Biden narrowly reclaimed it in 2020, Trump's resurgence here is undeniable. With Pennsylvania's 19 electoral votes on the line, Trump is positioned to flip the state once again as his message continues to resonate with working-class voters. This is a state that could very well fall into Trump's column as Election Day nears. With all the states filled in, Trump has completely destroyed Kamala Harris, where he leads with 312 electoral votes versus her 226.